Okay, it's an early morning type of video type of day, and I'm a little confused. I've got a question. Why, why is a movie that's pretty good, decent, maybe slightly above average, maybe slightly above average, pretty good acting, pretty good CGI, and all that thing, why is a movie like that many people like, more or less, why is that movie flopping in the box office? Why? I know you're thinking, get to the point, man. The point is, I went to see Fantastic Four in IMAX, had a good time, went with family. It was all good. They have, my nieces have a pretty good critique quotient or critique. What's the word I'm looking for? They know how to critique. I can't think of the word right now, it's very early. But the fact of the matter is, they enjoyed it. They didn't even hate the fact that it was a female Silver Surfer. She wasn't annoying. She didn't go give any grand speeches about empowerment and diversity from an alien world and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's different. That's unnecessary. But she wasn't even annoying. She was just there. It was easy to accept. But why is such a movie like that flopping? Well, first let me give my particular critique about the film. I enjoyed it. It was very good. The way they laid out the characters, very nice. One of my favorite characters of all time is Ben Grimm, the ever loving blue-eyed thing. Love that character. I love that they gave him the Kirby-esque look, with the brow and all of that sort of thing. The voice was a higher register than I like. I like the gravelly little voice and that little tinge of the neighborhood in his voice. But he had the tinge, but the gravel in it wasn't really there, but you could live with that. And he was believable, didn't have that self deprecating spirit. Yeah, he knows he's a thing. You could tell it bothers him. You could tell when he's looking at his reflection in the mirror how he used to look and how he looks now. It bothers him. Yes, you could tell that, but they don't make it a big deal. You could see they could lean into it in later films, but right now, no, you could tell it bothers him. Then you got the Human Torch. Yep, he was doing his thing. He's just a regular dude, you know, basically a sex symbol as the Human Torch. He was doing his thing. Even, and Vanessa Kirby, she killed it. Some of her speeches, some of her monologues, dialogues, especially when it came to the baby, beautiful. Even everybody's person that they love to hate right now, Pedro Pascal. That dude is everywhere. Everywhere. Word around the campfire is he was supposed to be in Weapons. The part that Josh Brolin played. I'm like, dude, I mean, you're a good character actor. I loved him in Game of Thrones as Oberon. Ah, he was the man in that role. I'm not gonna lie. But it's you kind of playing yourself out, Pedro. Everywhere. I'm not saying don't get work, but you know what I think it is? And pardon me if I go off a little bit, but there was a time, some time ago, that in almost every movie it was either Samuel L. Jackson or Antonio Banderas. The guys who are big now. There was a lot of character actors at the time, but there was a time it was Antonio Samuel, all the time. And you're like, man, they're everywhere. But they didn't really let you know their opinions about society, politics, and all the other stuff that Pedro just loves to talk about. So you couldn't wait to see Samuel in a movie. It could be something that totally un-Samuel like. And you're like, I bet you Samuel L. Jackson in this. Like that George Clooney movie with Jennifer Lopez, Out of Sight. I said, watch and see Samuel is in this. He's in it. Something like that. So maybe that's why people are tired of Mr. Pascal. Maybe he's talking a little too much. Maybe he's putting a little too much of himself out there. Or maybe he's putting on. Who knows? So the movie goes on talking about Galactus wants to destroy the Earth. Those of you who know the character of Galactus, he wasn't always that size. Something happened to him. Look it up. And now he has to devour planets in order to survive. But he serves a cosmic purpose in his destruction. Look it up. But he doesn't like that hunger. We all know what it's like to get hangry. Imagine if you are a cosmic being and you're hangry. Not a good day. However, he wants to get rid of that hunger. So he sends his herald, the Silver Surfer, to Earth to say, listen, I'm going to eat the Earth. Deal with it. So the Fantastic Four go out to have a negotiation with him. He scans everybody, realizes Susan not only is pregnant, but the baby boy, Franklin, might be his salvation, might be able to take the hunger away from him. So that's understandable. But him being Galactus, and, he doesn't take no for an answer, cosmic being and all, he wants to take the child. He said, I'll spare the Earth. Give me the kid. That's a good deal. And again, as I said in another video, we as human beings are lemmings. For 4 straight years in this movie, according to the timeline of the movie, everybody loved the Fantastic Four. They was sucking their kneecaps, the skin off their kneecaps for 4 years. Everybody wanted to be like the Fantastic Four. They tell the general public that they're not going to give up the kid to save the Earth. There has to be another way. And they turn on these people. They turn on them. Are you serious? This is not even like Superman. This is a newborn baby. And you're saying give up your kid to save the... No. That's just ridiculous. It's further... How they write general audiences in these films is kind of annoying. But, honestly, that's the way human beings behave. What can you do? We can be quite stupid, as I said before. So, but the speech that Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm gave was beautiful. Basically, she said, I'm not going to sacrifice my child for this world. And everybody paused and like, they did a lot of pearl clutching, but she said, I will not sacrifice the world for my child. Let's handle this together. And all of a sudden, they love her again. Oh, lemmings! I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. It's not you. It's me. So the movie carries on. They figure out a way. Bada beep, bada boop. Those of you who've seen it know what happens. One of my nieces did mention something that stuck out to me as well. I didn't say anything at the moment. She said, yes, we're seeing Sue struggle in fighting Galactus, giving everything she's got, and kind of overpowering him, which I find ridiculous. This is Galactus we're talking about. But she's overpowering him, and you don't see the strain on her. Even in the original ones, not the original, but the Jessica Alba ones, nosebleeds and all that stuff, let it show that this is killing her. She's exerting so much power in passing her limits. Let it show the nosebleed, maybe ear bleeds, maybe, flashbacks in her head, her life flashing before her eyes and stuff like that. Something, but they didn't show that. I guess they don't want to get all bloody with it. I mean, it is the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, and all that sort of thing. So, regardless of that, let's see. What else is there? The movie was good. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't Endgame and Infinity War. Infinity War. That's the way you're supposed to leave your audiences. Same way as Empire Strikes Back, on a dark tone. Han gets taken away. Luke gets his arm chopped off. Nobody knows what's going on. That's how you do. That's how you leave your audiences. When I went to see Infinity War with all my friends, leaving the theater, it was like you were leaving a funeral. It was crazy. Everybody's quiet. Little clusters talking about, how you're at a memorial service and people cluster around trying to remember the people that they were commemorating. That's how it was in the theater. And it was in IMAX. Everybody's shuffling out all quiet, not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do. That's how you leave people on a down note, climax of a film. This film was not that. It wasn't that. It wasn't one of those things where you're like, I can't wait to see Fantastic Four 2 or something like that. Even though it said they'll be back in Avengers Doomsday, which... And the end credit scene, which I'm going to spoil, Dr. Doom shows up. They don't show you his face. They show you him kneeling down, talking to Franklin, and Franklin touching his face. Well, since Franklin's powers, those of you who don't know, is reality warping, whatever he sees to fix, he can fix. Maybe he healed his face. Who knows? I don't know. That's the general thing out there. I am not an original. Not original whatsoever. So take it from me. The only thing original is the camera angle right now. Because somebody actually commented on one of the videos. I can't believe it. Who watches this stuff? But seriously, there's nothing spectacular here to report other than the fact it was a good film. Average, maybe above average. Pedro, his sort of spectrum-y version of Reed Richards, I could tolerate that. I could see it. Because some people would believe, even though that he speaks quite eloquently, some people would say that Reed Richards might be on the spectrum. Who knows? I don't know. But that gets me back to my original point, conveniently. Why is such a good film, not great, not bad, why is such a good film flopping in the box office? What could it be? Why is this film, why is Fantastic Four: First Steps floundering in the box office? Well, I have an equation, if you'll indulge me. For so long, and this is something going into a video I want to make later on down the road about the comparisons between being a pop culture fan nowadays and comparing it to being in an abusive relationship. But for so long, all these IPs, especially Marvel, has been running things for over a decade. From Iron Man all the way to Endgame, been running things. Even the movies that weren't great in the middle, people would watch them and enjoy them, and they made money. Not billions, but they made their money. They made a profit. But with all the changes, with all the forcing of things down people's throat, without telling me to like something that I don't fully understand, and when I tell you I don't understand it, you call me an ist or an ism or a phobe, and you insult me, you tell me I'm hurtful and hateful, eventually I'm going to stay away from you. You know, if you don't like me, you know, it's sad. You know, it makes me cry, tear, but you don't like me. So I'm going to stay away from you. I'm going to stay far away from you. But then, because I stay far away from you, you further lambaste me, or lambast, depending on what region you're living in. You further come at me to tell me that I'm still an ist, ism, or a phobe. And as the past 5 years, with all the stuff that Marvel has put out, and it's not only Marvel, but we're using them as a sounding board. All the stuff Marvel has put out, it's not the greatest stuff. They took some IPs that were good and just ground them into the dirt. They've taken IPs that weren't popular and try to make you make them popular. What is that about? That doesn't make any sense to me. In everything where you're dealing with the general public, and for lack of a better term, the customer is always right. But that only goes to a point, as Gary from Nerdrotic said. Yes, if the customer is a douche, yeah, they're not always right. But a person who's buying your products, the person who's enjoying your products, and he's saying, well, if it's a restaurant, if he knows a little bit about culinary arts and he says to add a little seasoning here and there, listen to him. It might work. Or you try it don't work, and you tell him, look, I tried it, and people didn't care for it. And you say, that's okay, but the fact that you tried it, that's beautiful. Or when you're doing carpentry, or when you're doing anything else, creative. When you have a good customer base, you cater to those people. You cater to the customer. There was a time when Marvel Studios did that. They gave people what they wanted. Now, in the beginning, really, they didn't have possession of the IPs people really wanted to see. They didn't have Spider-Man. They didn't have the X-Men. But they made you love Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye. They were the foundation. And they still don't have legitimate claim to the Hulk right now, but they made you love him even more. And they gave you these characters who were considered average, and they made them household names. They should have kept it that way. But no, they didn't. For some strange reason, which you probably already know, they veered off course. They did whatever they had to do. And now They're giving us this refurbished, not refurbished, but recycled or changed recipe, and we're eating it, and we're like, why does it taste like that? Well, you're a hater. You're an anti-colonist. That's not even a word. But the fact of the matter is, that's what they did. And after a while, the pressure gets on people's back and they stay away. So, when something does come out, that is good. Superman wasn't bad, it was good. Fantastic Four isn't bad, it's good. But when these good things come out, people are leery. People don't want to trust. It's like when your friend stabs you in the back, or, for example, you have a good friend, they borrow money from you, and they jerk you around about the money. You might forgive them, maybe, but you're not inclined to trust them with funds or financial things ever again, until they prove themselves or they just stop asking. I think that's the case here. The fans don't trust you anymore. They just don't. They don't trust you anymore. And they're staying away from you. They don't hate you. They don't want to spend that extra money. They'll wait to watch it on streaming. They'll wait to watch it on Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever streaming platform that's flooding the market right now. They'll do that. You hurt their feelings in the worst way. I'm not talking about the, and I hate this word, toxic fans. Because I think, to a degree or not, all fans can be over the top. Even Henry Cavill said they're not toxic, the ones that can be intense. They're passionate about the things that they grew up with. Superman has been around for almost a century. Batman maybe so as well. Then you've got the Fantastic Four. They've been around since the 60s, and they were Marvel's first family. People have a connection to these characters. People feel something for these characters. You can't take that for granted and throw them something new and expect them not to even ask, why are you giving me something new? Don't just hate on them because you are emotional, you're in your emotions, you're feeling a little funny, and you can't quite answer their questions. Don't be like that. What's that about? There's no need for that. But I think that's one of the reasons, probably one of the major reasons, why movies like this are flopping. They should make more. Yes, they're claiming Superman is killing it. That's fine. If Superman were really killing it, it would have been past 1 billion already. If Fantastic Four was doing what they hoped, it would have been maybe not 1 billion, 800 million, close to 9 maybe. I mean, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I think made over 800 million, and that movie wasn't the greatest. It depends on opinion. It's just opinion. I'm not coming at anybody. Please, I'm not. But that's just my feeling. But what do you say? What do you think? Why are these movies that are good, not that they suck, that they stink, that they just have horrendous stories, no adaptation to the original source material? No. A movie that's good, maybe even, dare I say it, above average. Why is it flopping in the box office? Just my thoughts. There's more stuff to come, and maybe more book reviews as well. I'm trying to decide between Old Man Logan and Batman The Long Halloween. So, my freaky darlings, it's been good speaking to you in a little longer format. It's also been good staring right at the camera instead of doing one of these or doing one of these. That's pretty good. I try to go off script, as you know, a lot of fumbles and fluffs. And you could tell it's early because coffee. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. But until next time, you be easy.